Guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be about the joint spouse process. I am active duty Air Force. My husband is active duty Marine Corps, and we got married on 4th of July. And before we got married, we were looking for information about the joint spouse process and how it would work in an inter-service marriage. So that just means that we are two people from two different branches who got married, and we'd like to be stationed together. Before I go through everything we've done so far, I just want to point out that as of right now, we don't have an outcome or an answer on if or when we will be stationed together. So I just want to say that up front. If you guys are looking for like the very end of this process, we are not there yet. So like I said, we started on 4th of July. That Saturday we got married, and so the following Monday, just a couple days later, we took all of our important documents to DEERS and MPF. So that is where the whole process began for us. So DEERS was no problem at all. They updated us in the system and reflected that we were married, we were each other's spouses, and neither one of us is each other's dependent since we are both active duty in the military. On my base, we had to drive to another location to go to MPF, and because everything is crazy with COVID, there was really no one in the building. We couldn't find anyone to talk to. We did end up running into this master sergeant, and he said he was a first sergeant for a different squadron, not my squadron, but he was very, very helpful and kind, and seemed like he just really wanted to help us. So he took us into MPF and went to the back, spoke with someone, came back out and said, you know, I can take the documents back there. This guy's gonna help us out, and here's my email address. I'll write down your email address, phone number, like we exchanged contact information. So we gave him the documents, marriage certificate, birth certificate, social, everything we brought from DEERS, we also brought to MPF. So we gave that to the first sergeant, and he went back and gave it to whoever was back there. We didn't even see the person. And he came back out a few minutes later and said, okay, you guys are good to go. Just send me a follow-up email and be patient with the process. And we were like, what? That was it. So we knew something was missing there. We weren't sure what that was about. We knew that there was like other paperwork that had to be done, like an application. We knew that we both had to go up our chain of command or leadership, and one of us would need like a commander's approval to move and things like that. So we just knew there's no way that that was the whole process. There was no way. So a few days went by, and I did send the master sergeant an email, followed up with him. He said we were good to go. I continued to check MPF online, and it was not updated. I already told my chain of command and my leadership, like my flight chief, my first sergeant, and my supervisor. I told them when I got married, but now I wanted to make it clear that like I needed their assistance in this process. So I told them everything we had done so far, and that we were trying to get MPF updated because you can't change your intent code, which I'll go over in a second. You can't change that until MPF states that you are married and that they are in the military and another branch and all of those things. I did confirm with my flight chief, supervisor, and first sergeant that I needed their help, and they did start to kind of contact their contacts and so on. So a few more days went by, and I luckily ran into this old email, really weird, really random, but clearly meant to be. It was an email from February before COVID, and it was titled like joint spouse something, and I was like, what is this? So I opened it, and it was a bunch of contacts that work at MPF and deal with joint spouse. So I was like, wow, that was literally meant to be. So I opened the email, I kind of skimmed through the contacts, and I reached out to this senior airman that was listed there, kind of gave him the gist of our situation, and he sent me a form the same day, and I filled it out, sent it back, and he said, okay, you guys are good with MPF, and it'll be updated online. Just check back in a few days. So a few days later, yes, we were finally good to go in MPF. That was updated online. It did say that I was married, that he was in the Marines, we're both active, and our intent code. So the intent code just states what your intentions are. So do you guys want to be stationed together? Do you want to be stationed together no matter what? Do you want to be stationed together under certain circumstances? Things like that. So my intent code was then good to go. So then we were like, what do we do next? And so that's what I asked this senior airman contact I had at MPF, and that's when he stopped emailing me back. Throughout this whole process, I was definitely in the most communication with my supervisor. My flight chief has been so helpful, not really getting us to the next step, but like trying very hard and being in communication with me and my supervisor almost daily. Like even in the evenings she would text me and things like that. So they have been very helpful, but I have like luckily stumbled upon the next step myself every time, or at least I think we're on the right track. I don't really know. It's a very unique situation, I guess, when a Marine marries an airman. I don't know. So about 2 weeks ago I stumbled across something that said that not only do I need commander's approval, but because we're in 2 separate branches and he can't just go in and do the same type of things that I've been doing, obviously, because he's not in the Air Force, so he doesn't have access to like that same system. So it said that I needed a written agreement from my spouse. So I had him write a written agreement, send it to my email, and I've had that for a couple weeks, not knowing what to do with it exactly. So I've been trying to figure out like how do I go about getting commander's approval, but also staying within my chain of command and not going above anyone or doing anything out of order or wrong, or you know, I didn't know what to do next. I felt stuck for a little while. So today at work I found this application that I needed to fill out, and once I filled that out, it like generated a memorandum for the commander, and I was like, perfect, this is what I needed. So I attached the written agreement to the memorandum for the commander, and I sent that to my supervisor and my first sergeant. During this process, unfortunately, my flight chief was like reassigned somewhere else, and I was very sad about that because she's been very helpful. Like, she's the type of flight chief that would just call and check on her airmen. So that was sad when I heard that we would be losing her, and she was kind of like an advocate of mine in the joint spouse process, and I was like, dang, that's not good. So I did fill out the application today, and now it's kind of in the hands of my leadership to push up to the commander. And yeah, his job is here, but unless we've been married for a year, the Marine Corps said they're not able to help him move here. I don't know if that just means they're not willing to, or if they're really not able to. I'm not sure. My job cannot go to his base, and the closest that my job can get to his base is a little bit over an hour, which we would be grateful for in this situation because we are nowhere near that close right now. We have no idea if we are going to stay at the bases we're at, or if he's gonna come here eventually, or if I can go there soon, or if we would both move somewhere together in the United States or overseas. We literally put our intent code as put us anywhere together, don't care where. I don't know how helpful this is right now, but basically without all the confusion and time in between, we went to DEERS, got everything updated. We went to MPF, got everything updated. We kept our chain of command, or my chain of command, in the loop and have been in pretty regular communication with them. So supervisor, flight chief, first sergeant. And we also filled out the application online that's on the portal, and it created the memorandum for the commander. I got a written agreement from my spouse, and that's pretty much all I can do at this point, I think. So yeah, I hope this was somewhat helpful, and maybe it just makes me feel better to talk about it, and maybe see if there's anyone else out there who has gone through the same thing or might be going through the same thing currently. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or even guidance, please leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and you guys can follow me on Instagram at Brittany L. Willis. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. I do have my hashtag Team Lewis hoodie on. Me and Bradley both have one of these. You guys have seen them on Instagram, asked about them. If you guys want this to be merchandise that you can wear as well, and we can post you guys on our Instagram, things like that, let me know in the comments, and we will create more of these if you guys are interested.